schedule and meet all of our deadlines, they're going to be building the job for us. So not just two alumni starting the company, we just brought in a third one. And going back to who sits next to you guys, we're the future of real estate. So if you guys look around, this may be your boss one day, this might be your partner one day, you just never know. So the project is located in what they call now Uptown Fort Lauderdale. The city of Fort Lauderdale is really trying to transition this whole area. This corridor here, well, let me start here at the top first. This is the Palmyra Village. Palmyra community is in Pompano and also in Fort Lauderdale. Very old, well-established community. It's a family-oriented community. The homes are priced between 200 and 300. It's older. I'll call it, not that it's low income, but it's just older, right? It's the houses need a little work, a little updating and stuff, but transitioning is currently happening there. Developers are targeting Palmyra. There's a lot of townhomes in the area going up for development. A lot of employment here in this corridor. Citrix is here. There's a lot of industrial and little office spaces. Greenspoon Martyrs office is right over here off of the 95. Tons of employment. So they're trying to consider this whole corridor here, the uptown area of Fort Lauderdale. So of course, this got announced after we got to the signing of the contract. But again, knowing your markets. I always love this area because I knew all the employment centers here. Yeah, the area needed some work, but there's upside. People want to live next to where they work, and there's really no new apartment stock in the area, so we chose this location for that reason. And so far, it's worked out pretty good, especially with the announcement of Uptown, and also the recent announcement of, there's a lot of something somewhere.
You saw it?
Here we go. And the recent announcement of, David Beckham trying to propose their stadium here, so more upside for us. I'll take that all day. So here's the site area. It's off of 31st Avenue and 68th Street, which is just north of Cypress Creek Boulevard, which we're just looking at. And that's the site right there. It's less than an acre. This is an aerial for you. One of the biggest challenges we have with this property, as you guys can see here, what is it most you see? Trees. For. So going to Woody's point, tree mitigation is a pain for our county, especially trees that used to be considered nuisance trees and now are called specimen trees. These trees on the site, the big ones, are called this one here, and this one here, are called strangler trees. There used to be an invasive species who would come and just strangle all the other trees and just take all their nutrients and just grow off that. Now they're considered Florida natives. So everybody, all arborists who are involved and have years of experience get pissed when they hear this, like, oh, these stupid trees, And but I think they're beautiful because it has a cool, intricate trunk system, the air roots coming down. Regardless of the fact, we looked at the site for a townhome community. We wanted to build our equity as fast as we could, build some homes, sell them, reinvest our capital, just grow and scale. But in order to make the townhome deal work, we needed, from a townhome planning perspective, it comes down to site planning and such. Townhomes require, of course, the garage parking, their tandem space in front of the garages. With all these trees in the way, we just couldn't make the design work. There's just no way to maximize the density in townhomes. So what we did is we kind of altered our vision and said, what if we tried apartments? I know from my experience with development companies that the parking situation, you have a lot more flexibility. You can change your parking lots, you can move around the site, and we were able to maximize our density with that.
So whenever you were looking at what you could actually put on there, did you just build out a model in Excel for the parking ratios that you've got to have? How did you go about building out per the zoning code to know that you'd be within?
Absolutely. So again, going back to what I know, I don't know. I don't know architecture. I don't know site planning. We hired professionals to do that. So we have a professional in the city of Fort Lauderdale who's very, very, very entrenched in the city of Fort Lauderdale's code. Actually, he's like a consultant to them. And it's funny, when he walks into the room with us and battles the city on code issues, they kind of acquiesce because they know he's correct. Like the city doesn't even know their own code. It's kind of sad. So yeah, we hired consultants to kind of guide us through this process. So each one of these trees, and back to due diligence, understanding the implications before you go hard in a contract, we discussed with the city what the implications are for removing these trees. They wanted $50,000 a tree just to pay into mitigation. That's not the cost of cutting the tree down and all the work and labor that goes with that. We couldn't make the deal work at $50,000 a tree. That's not a $200 grand project. It just wasn't feasible. So what we did, we designed our site around these trees. And we'll show you. That's why we call it the Palmyra Preserve. And there you are. So here's one specimen tree, two specimen trees around the roundabout, and the third here. I'll go back and forth to see the. Yeah, the city, once we created this plan, it took us a lot of extra effort to really get our, coordination done, because the site's so tight with the utilities, with the drainage requirements, with the parking requirements and the such, and your open space requirements. It was really hard to make this design work, but, with a lot of pushing and effort, we made it happen.
So at 3 stories, would that be the tallest structure in the area?
Yes, that's correct.
And that was already in the zoning code.
That's
You had that.
Believe it or not, the zoning in this area allows up to 50 feet, which we weren't even trying to approach. But setbacks and everything else will only allow us to go to 3 feet anyway.
Do you guys get any variances?
No variances.
Okay.
No variances.
But you had the density though. You knew the density before you bought it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Is that what
The density had to do, that's units per acre, or is that like, what's the restriction
So
on that?
this is a RMM 25, which is 25 units per acre. So you back out our acreage, about 0.912 or something. It comes out to 22 units an acre.
You got to that maximum.
Yeah, we maxed it out completely. So this is our plan here. As you can see, we designed around all the trees. And there's our rendering.
Speaking of max out, did you max out because you knew that this is the maximum you're allowed to build, or did all the financials also dictate those are the numbers?
It's all about financial feasibility. The purchase price for the land was a lump sum. The more units we can get, the more cost we can spread across those units. So obviously, when we're looking at a townhome scenario, we're trying to underwrite 18 townhomes, and we just couldn't make them work. We get like 12 on there. The deal wasn't feasible. When we did 22 apartments, it shook out to about $25,000 a door. And in Broward County, what do you can testify to that? $25,000 a door for apartments in Broward County is a good deal. And we were able to make the deal work when nobody else could.
Pre-development.
Sorry?
Pre-development, 25 a unit.
25 units, that's correct.
Those bottom 3 units, those are only ones that have, or 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, 5
I'm trying to
garages.
track the garages,
Yep.
but, so how much square footage is that compared to the other?
On average, the units here are just over 1,000 square feet on average.
Okay.
So the bottom floors get the garages, nice contemporary design, of course. The second floor, half the garage space goes to an exterior terrace per se. So it's not just like a little balcony, you can have the usable space, people can hang out, have a couple of drinks, is what it is doing here. And we actually took the other half of the garage space and increased the dining area on the second floor. The second floor is actually my third unit. And then the third floor above, we just created a little balcony space and reduced the actual dining area.
So you can sit on a Saturday evening after class, you can sit on the balcony and accidentally spill the red wine on your neighbors downstairs?
Exactly.
Or
My white dog. Our next project. Living
Go
Big
back
Ridge.
to the previous one. What was the unit mix?
Unit mix here?
Yeah.
We have,
Just 1 and 2?
1 and 2 beds. We have 15 2-bedrooms and 7 1-bedrooms. Our next project, we recently got this one under contract. This is located in Fort Lauderdale, East Fort Lauderdale. We're designing here a fee simple for sale 3-story town community. We executed a contract in November of last year. We're currently in for site plan at the city of Fort Lauderdale. We actually have a meeting this month, or I'm sorry, April. And we're looking to start construction on the second quarter of 2020. You can see the vacant lot there. It's a tight site. It's less than half an acre. It's a really small site. But again, going back to having the right professionals on hand, he's done a number of these projects. He was able to maximize the density on this lot as well at 8 units. Here's a little survey for you guys, just a little reference point. Here's the location. How familiar you guys with East Fort Lauderdale, Galleria Mall? That area is awesome in my opinion. I love that area. They have the Blue Martini. I won't get into all the nonsense there, but we have the Galleria Mall, we have the beach, the Hugh Taylor State Park, great area. Houses in out east go multi-million. And we're providing a little town community right there, right off US 1 and Sunrise. So how familiar are you guys with Victoria Park? Not at all? So Victoria Park is a very influential community in Fort Lauderdale. High-priced homes, townhomes are selling for $800, $750. Single families, one just traded out for $1.2 million in Victoria Park. So very sought after, desirable area in Victoria Park. We are actually in Lake Ridge. However, lucky for us, lucky for us, our address is North Victoria Park Road. So from a marketing perspective, we can kind of use that to try to influence the people to buy the property. It's not a Victoria Park, we're not going to state that, but they can think that for themselves. So over here. So here's a little bit of the program and design. Like I said, 8-unit community, 2 buildings, each 4 units on the pad. Three-story contemporary design, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 2,100 square feet under air, double car garage, as you can see. We have private yards with pool options. You can do whatever you want as an upgrade as an end user. And we have elevator options. These elevator options, one of our biggest concerns up front was doing a 3-story design. I personally would hate chucking up 2 flights of stairs every single day in my own home. But with the elevator component, if you're able to afford it, of course, I think that it alleviates a lot of that concern of mine having an elevator.
You have been talking to Harry Posen a lot. The moment the elevator option pops up on that floor plan, it's like, yeah, he has been with Harry.
Yeah, he saw our plan yesterday, by the way, looking at our Zen Garden property. And first thing he asked us, so where'd you get this design from? I'm like, not you, Harry. Okay, that's right. So our projected sales price is about $585,000. We were conservative on underwriting again. We looked at the comps in the area, even in Lake Ridge, selling for upwards of $600,000. We adjusted downward just in case of some potential market softening, because you guys sit in this classroom, talk about the market conditions, where we're at in the cycle. We're concerned about where we're at today. However, as a developer, you can't stop. You can't close your doors. However, you can plan for it and try to mitigate your risk as much as possible. And that's what we did with our projections here at 585. Hopefully, the market keeps up strong. We're trying to push this plan through the city as fast as possible. And if the market's still strong, we should be able to beef this up and capture some significant upside. First floor plan, just run through it with you guys really quick. Double car garage, little in-law suite. You put your father and mother-in-law down there. Little private patio back here. Second floor, huge, massive open concept. You land, you come up the stairs, you land here, all glass. So you have a nice lit landing when you come up the stairs. So you just imagine yourself or some guys coming in just being loud when they first walk up around this corner. One of my pet peeves in design is I don't like opening a front door or having a stairwell landing into your kitchen, which I see a lot of developments like that. It's one of my pet peeves. I like opening into the living area, and that's exactly what this does. So you come in, you see this massive living area, your dining right in the middle, and of course your big massive kitchen with your nice island, and a little powder room right here. And a little awesome spacious balcony too. Look at a little curvature for the design there. Call it lineal for a reason. Third floor, master bedroom, secondary bedroom, and 2 little private Juliet balconies, and of course the elevator option. That if you're not using the elevator, there'll be closets on all 3 of the rooms, or 3 floors. Sorry. And some elevations for you guys, except that they're contemporary design. This is the front of the building where you actually enter with your car, and your front door, of course. And this is the front of the building as you're pulling into the property. So this is what you'd be driving through every single time. Our idea is to really give, we're all about contemporary design, but not the dull white boxes you see everywhere. We like character, so we focus a lot, just like you saw in our Parnell rendering. There's a lot of different color grades and different features. Here we're gonna do the same thing. This is gonna be like EPA wood or maybe some aluminum railing just to kind of add some character to the design. So we think it'll be a nice view pulling in every single day. A little Juliet balcony in the front, so your double car garage. This is the rear of the building. On the opposite side, you can see full of glass, as I mentioned. These glass areas are where the stair will land, so we have a lot of light coming into the landings. These 3 windows in the back elevation here are actually the dining room. So these 3 windows will frame the dining room table, so I think that'll be really elegant design there. And this is the private balcony here. And that's it, guys.
And those
That's
are
what we-
attached.
I'm sorry?
Are they attached?
Those are attached townhome pieces.
Okay.
So, we got a lot in the pipeline. It's a lot of hard work, sweat in order to get here. Nothing's easy, like what he said. It's a grind. I wake up every single morning, 6 in the morning. I start working from 7, 8, depending if I go to gym or not. And I don't stop working until my eyes close, basically. Even on the weekends, I'm picking up the phone, I'm here with you guys. Not that I consider this work, but I'm passionate about this, guys. This is not a 9 to 5 for me. This is what I wake up wanting to do. What's the term? I always get it backwards. I work to live. No, I live to work. I always go backwards. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I love working. That's my whole thing. And it's really hard work. So if you guys don't put the time and the dedication in up front, it's not going to happen. So grind it out. Look at your neighbors. There's people sitting in the classroom next to you, maybe your partners, as I said, one day in the future, your bosses. Use your resources. As I said, the mentors program, the alumni program. We're here to answer any questions. As I mentioned already, myself, alumni, my partner, and the guy that we're coming into the construction company. That's already 2 guys from the program that we're doing this company with. And, you know, as we grow, we hope to bring in more alumni, more NSU folks into the organization. Our whole thing is creating a dynasty we want to do. You know, we always said we're big dreamers, you know, crawl, walk, and run, but we're looking at the grand, big picture. We want a company that, you know, we want lifers. We want people to come to work, be happy every single day. We want people to say, I'm never leaving Define Companies. You know, we're young, we're energetic, we want that type of atmosphere for everybody, not the typical stale 9 to 5. You walk in, you're looking at the clock you're looking at your watch every single minute. No, not that. We don't have enough time today. It's a problem for us, and we are looking for people. Actually, I'll give you a little update. We actually got our office space. We're moving in this Monday. We finally got a lease executed. Our office furniture being delivered. You know, over the last year and a half, myself and my partner, we worked out of our homes. So it's been a grind. It's trying to be lean. It's only 2 of us. I'm the accountant. I'm the admin person. You know, our partner Noah is the attorney per se, even though we do that outside counsel. But we try to do as much in-house stuff as we can. You know, I never knew accounting, but guess what? I learned it because I had to. Yeah, you can go pay an accountant to go do your stuff, but we're not. You know, we don't have deep pockets. You know, I want to strengthen my understanding as much as possible. I don't want to know everything because I can't. You know, I need to focus on the projects and the real estate development stuff. But this is also business, guys. There's two things: running a business, running development jobs. We're doing both. And it's just a 2-man shop doing all these projects you're currently seeing that presented to you guys. So it's a lot of work, it's a grind. We got our first office space finally, April 1st, we're moving in. We're looking to expand. We're actually bringing on our first employee. Not that we found that person yet, but we're looking for somebody to take on some of that accounting burden, the operational burden, the administrative items. So if any of you guys may be interested, we're happy to sit down with you guys and look at applications. I want to sit down and talk to you guys here in the classroom. So we are expanding. We're looking for our first employee. And, you know, year and a half in, a lot of fun, a lot of work. I still have my hair, luckily, but, you know, we're going to keep pushing forward.
So, on the other 2 projects that you're doing now, did you have your same angel investor carry on with you guys?
That's correct.
Okay, and then, and you may have said this when I stepped out, but are you looking to hold all of your real estate to build your cash flow? Because I know that you said that was your model, or are you looking to do a couple where you can actually build them, get them rented, and then sell them?
So you must have missed the...
Yeah, like I said, I must have missed it, yeah, okay.
So this townhome deal here is all fee simple for sale, so we'll build our capital on this deal.
Gotcha.
However, you know, we have, our whole projection was based on 5 years.
Okay.
And we are, of course, incurring salary, overhead, a bunch of different costs. So our investor gave us a business loan basically just to do whatever we want with. Business projects, business deals, whatever. You know, there's different deal structures for the business loan versus the project loan. So there's different splits and everything else. But we're able to cover our operating expenses through the whole 5 years with our structure. And we did our projections based on that. So you're back to your original question of hold or sell. It's tough. You know, we're a startup. We need the money. You know, we're getting an office space. We're bringing our employee. That's additional burden. We need the capital to pay off our debt. So there is a balance. Another one of our strategies we didn't get into, and I don't like touching on it much because we haven't secured one of those yet. But you know, given my previous experience with development companies, and you know, my partner comes across all kinds of unique opportunities. You know, we said, why turn these opportunities down? I understand we can't process them internally, but why don't we partner with a larger developer who can, who has the platform, who has the infrastructure, the financing means to process these? We could be the guys doing all the legwork, right? And that's what we've essentially proposed to a couple of developers. And the relationship itself has worked out great as far as the terms. We've bid on a couple large deals, and when I say large deals, we're talking $86 to $90 million deals. You know, 360 unit apartment communities throughout here in South Florida. We've lost them all, but we've come second place, third place. And a lot of things that have helped me too is the presentations that I've done here in Nova, for example, all the packages that sit in front of you know, the NAIOP challenge and everything else. You know, when we find a site, we prepare the package. We do all the underwriting. We basically hand it to the developer and civil planner. Hey guys, so we found this opportunity. They ask questions, we have the answer automatically. You know, here's the book for it, here's the investment opportunity, what do you guys say? They're all in, we'll put in our offer, and we'll negotiate back and forth. And of course, the issue with today's market and larger deals is so competitive, it's tough. You know, we like to came second, came third on one of them. And you know, it's coming down to today to who can actually, not that who's willing to pay the most, it's who's willing to take less profit. That's really what's coming down to. And we're here to do profitable jobs, not just do a job. You know, and that's our reputation on the line. So if we're able to secure one of those, you know, large jobs, we built a structure that we're all fee driven because, you know, our capital is limited. They expect us to do all the work, you know, do all the financials, run it through the cities. You know, their emphasis would be more construction management and the financing portion itself, but we would do all the legwork. Now, if we, like I said, land those deals, it's heavily fee driven, so we, you know, make some good money on the front end once it closes and some money on the back. But the main portion that will be on the front end and close on the, on the actual land itself. If we're able to secure one of those, we will probably hold on to the properties. And it's really a balance. It's what can our company, what's the appetite for our company? What do we need in money today? Can we hold off for extra couple years? It's all a balance. And every single day, it's a constant change, it's a constant different thought. So it's a moving target, to be honest with you. It really is. So our whole thing is we want to create cash flow, but we'll see what happens.
Since as a two-man show, in your due diligence process, what do you guys focus more on? Like, as a new developers, in your due diligence process, what do you guys focus more as far as timing issues and making yourself happy and your investors happy during that short period of time that you have to do everything since you're a two-man show?
What was your question?
Okay, in your due diligence process, since you're two-man shows, what do you guys focus more to get your work done on time to please your investors?
Well, only during due diligence is your question?
I mean, yeah, more or less.
Well, the good thing for us is we're doing this full time.
Oh, okay.
So we're like I said, I'm up in the morning, I'm up very late, and we're doing this full time. So we process these as if they were any deal. So we focus on really what the most critical pieces are, because there's efficiencies, right? You don't want to go get your soils done, you don't want to go get your environmental studies done. If you pull title and there's all kinds of liens and stuff, why are we going to spend another $5,000 on soil studies when your title is already default? Like, it doesn't make sense. So there's certain ways to phase your due diligence to make sure you're efficient, and that's what we've been doing essentially. It's just making sure that, all right, this comes out clean, on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. So we're not essentially putting dollars out the door at risk. That's kind of what we do.
Yeah, question. Is the Palmer project market rate housing?
Yes.
And I was wondering, have you looked into the low-income tax credits for any of your previous deals or?
Yeah, so we eventually want to get into affordable housing and tax credit deals. One of the requirements in order to do so is you need to have the experience, which we don't have yet. So we're building our crawl, walk, and run, building our track record, improving people, and we will venture eventually into affordability. I know when I was in the program, we talked about a lot of topics was affordability. It's a huge issue, and I see it all the time. I mean, I'm one of those end users that I still understand how people are paying these rents. Even though we're underwriting them, how are people paying $15, $16 for one bedroom? That's insane. Also, home ownership. I'm getting to that age where I want to buy a home, I'm tired of renting, and I still can't even save up for down payment. So
But it's a 1,000 square foot apartment, 2-2. So look at Flagler or downtown Fort Lauderdale. If you look at those prices, you're pretty on point. As in, it's not completely insane, but it's stretching it a little bit.
Yeah,
so
with our submarket.
yeah, and this is a discussion, and that's the reason why I introduced you guys as a little bit more sustainable in your thinking. You're not asking for the moon, you're asking for part of the moon, but not for the whole thing.
When it comes down to underwriting rents and sales prices, we dig deep into the market. Like, we understand what Flagler's getting, as you mentioned. Huge concern. We avoid that market for that very reason. There's a lot of supply. Absorption's a big, analytic that you guys need to, understand when you're looking at deals. So Flagler we would not pursue for that reason. One, inflation pricing, and two, just the supply. Here in the Palmer community, there really isn't a supply for apartments. And two, the rents that we're asking, if we comped it, we're just under the market anyway. We'll be brand new. So again, going back to being conservative, when we underwrote our rents, we're just under everybody. And they were 10 years old, for example. So once we build it, of course, we build in our, like I said, risk tolerance, construction costs come up, another $500,000 more than what we anticipated. We have the room and flexibility to increase our rents accordingly. Now, we don't want to do that, but we have that back, that back door essentially.
For your Alden apartment project, was that already on the market, or did you approach the owner?
No, so good question. That was actually off market. So going back to boots on the ground, you look at opportunities, and the reason I identified this because I drove every day, as I mentioned, doing my shortcuts as I do, and the building itself is dilapidated, and that's what we look for. Is looking for buildings that are just run down. My partner, which I didn't get into much, Noah, he came from doing small-scale investment flips, basically house flipping. He was doing renovations on his own, flipping them, very successful. He was doing a really great job, by the way, on those. And what he would do, which was very intriguing to me, and I thought it was creative, and I don't know if other house flippers do this, but what he would do is he would just go drive markets. He'd go through communities, look for the houses that had the highest grass, the trash still outside, the roof falling down, all kinds of craziness. And he's the type that he'll find you somehow. I don't know how he does it, but he's a professional stalker. He is. And, you know, he'll find you one way or another. So he'll write you a letter, he'll leave a note, a post-it note on your door, he'll call your wife and your girlfriend somehow. I don't know how he does it, but he finds everybody's numbers and he reaches out to you. And that's what he used to do. And it worked out pretty well for him. So, you know, when he does that, there's no competition. Obviously, that drives up cost. And when people have those community or houses like that in those conditions, they're strapped for cash. So that's his approach. Is, hey, I know you guys are doing hard. Here's the appraised value. I'm willing to offer you this because it's going to take me X amount of dollars to fix it, and I'm going to sell it for this. And he's transparent, people. They appreciate it, and he got a lot of deals on that one. So same thing with this one. We just drove it a lot, saw the opportunity, it was run down, reached out to the owner. She said, well, if you give me $100 a door, it's yours. Just like that. You know, that was more than we wanted to pay. We underwrote it. We didn't want to lose the opportunity. We said, give it to us. And we realized we can make the deal work at that. So.
You mentioned you have an investor.
Mm-hmm.
Is it private? Like you have a private investor, or
Yes.
you work with banks?
No, it's a private investor. Now, we still raise the debt when it comes to construction project. So we had the opportunity to do that for the Zen Garden, for example, the 8-unit renovation. But since we had the credit line and it was so cheap capital, it's like, why not just do it ourselves? This first deal, our idea was either sell it or refinance it, which we're not sure we're doing yet since we completed it. And when we pull our money back out, now we have the operational cushion that we needed. So we knew that from our projections that it didn't matter if we put all cash in this one or we refinance it, we would still have the money available. So it made more sense just to put all our cash into it. And that's what we did. So it's not a crunch right now for us to pull our money out. We're not in desperate need because our deals are further out in the pipeline. So once we refi, we'll have most of the money back out. Palmer, for example, and the 8 units, we're going to have a construction loan. Basically 65% of the total cost. We put in 35% of the equity. So that's kind of our deal structure. And in order to prove yourselves to investors and lenders for bigger jobs, you kind of have to go through that financing process. You want to prove to individuals that you can pay back your notes, you're not going to default, you're going to do the job successfully. So this is one of those things that you have to kind of go through.
So you meant? Okay.
What's the profitability that you look into this project in general?
I'm sorry, feasibility?
The profitability, like what's the profit that you look into these projects?
So our cost of capital is so low, it's unique for us, and of course it's a good opportunity. But again, guys, it's not just, hey, here's a really cheap rate of capital, go run a hand. No, we're putting everything on the line again. Personally guarantee everything. So if we lose, I'm losing my ass. But we are able to make deals work at lower returns because of our cost of capital, but we don't look at them that way. Because why are we going to do a deal that makes less return? It's all about investment analysis. We could do this deal that makes more or this one that makes more. We're going to choose the one that's more profitable. So we always try to aim to market returns. Our return on cost, we aim for like 7%, a 7% yield or higher. On the back end for the investor of the project, internal rate of return, we look for like 20%. And that's typical for large, institutional size deals. So if you can get to a 20% on the back end on the, your IRR and 7% on the upfront on their, yield to cost, you're in good shape. That's what we look for.
What about the costs internally? Woody brought out, he met a $2 million budget with just about 50,000 in the range. So that's pretty got on. You mentioned contingencies. You also mentioned that you're working with a smaller shop as a GC. How conservative are you in your financials? If you would give us some insights on that. Not to explain too much of the secret sauce, but maybe some ideas. How many mistakes have you guys done? How much did you pay for the mistakes?
So I went back to this job, for example, our first baby, going with the contractor at growing pains. In our underwriting, and I thought this was ridiculous at first, I was battling my partner Noah, is that he wanted to underwrite one lease a month. I was like, dude, we're going to get this only 8 units. We're going to have these in 1 month. What are you talking about? I am very happy we underwrote that way. And he stuck to his guns, and I understood why, and we underwrote that way. So if you figure from when we delivered the property, January 1st, we figured 1 month, one lease, a month, that's 8 months out. That means we would have stabilized in August. We're pretty much there already. So in the model, we talked to our GC, our partner. He thought, this is his first renovation on apartments as well. He thought that we could be done with the project by 3 months. Of course, that didn't happen. We started in August, we got it delivered in January, so we were well behind. However, we knew it was his first deal, and we budgeted accordingly in our financials. We said, all right, we know we're going to get deliveries later than what he's telling us, just from understanding this is all our first project. So we just budgeted accordingly, being conservative. So we don't want to be too conservative to the point where we're going to kill all the deals, because that happens. And that was kind of Terry's point of guys like me killing all the deals. I go, but we understand the risks and we kind of appropriate those accordingly. Same thing with rents. You know, we set our rents at like $14.50, and we're getting $15.40 basically, another $100 on rents. So we're a little more conservative on that aspect as well. Issues we had here, just so you guys know, we got this building delivered January. We still have one more lease to go. You know, the reason why the lease up's so slow, even though we underwrote one lease a month, is we had a lot of issues. We built contingencies into our pro forma. You know, we had a development fee, which is very minimal on a small deal like this. Development fee, we had our hard cost contingency, we had our soft cost contingency. Hard cost contingency for construction issues, soft cost contingency for just anything we may have missed, you know, taxes or A&E fees or something might pop up, permit fee or something. We were pretty spot on our underwriting. The only thing that hit us was construction. You know, there's a lot of stuff doing a renovation. There's a lot of stuff behind the walls you can't see, and that happened to us. A lot of pipes we had to repair. The sewer lateral underneath was a mess. You know, when we scoped it the first time, it seemed fine, so we didn't even address it. We finished the project completely, January 15th. We started to realize, so here's a learning thing. We use this flooring called Cortec, which is a waterproof laminate flooring. Here, it's a waterproof laminate flooring. It's cork underlayment, and it's a new product. We decided to test it. This is a ground floor, by the way. Back to learning thing. You know, it's waterproof. There's no need for any type of underlayment. It has a sound conditioner and everything else, except the fact that we didn't think about was that since it's waterproof, it sits on the ground slab. There's moisture that comes up from the ground. We didn't think about that. Neither did our GC. That's his responsibility, which he ate half that cost because he's our partner. But water was building up under the slab, creating moisture, creating hydrostatic pressure, they call it. So what's happening is these LVT, call it lock and block kind of assemblies, they were so tight and there was so much pressure building up, they started buckling. All of them, the whole ground floor. When we started pulling them up, it was saturated. According to the manufacturer, the actual tiles were mold resistant. We didn't see any mold or anything, but they were saturated, stunk in there. We started pulling them up. Floor ruined. We had everything completely done, and we had to rip out all the ground floor units. Luckily, we had our contingencies in place. You know, not saying that we didn't use it on all the other stuff in construction, but we had a development fee we're banking on. We didn't pull that up front. We had that at the end just in case there were issues. We had to break into our fee. Luckily, we never went over budget on the entire job. We met our underwriting budget, but we broke into our fee to cover all these additional expenses that we were not thinking of. So when we finished the job, we were happy, excited. You know, we kind of met budget. We had our fee. You know, we started leasing everything else, and this started happening. What a nightmare! Luckily for us, none of the first ground floor units were leased. Everything started leasing upstairs. Everyone upstairs units. If people would have been moved in at first, and we had these issues, it would have been a disaster. You know, relocations. You know, all the moving expenses. And all that. So glad it happened the way it did. But however, even ripping up the flooring, it's not just the flooring, by the way. You rip up the flooring, guess what? Now your baseboards are shot. Now you have dust and all kinds of crap all over the place. Your walls are all dinged up. So it's a lot. It's like a domino effect. One thing happens, then another. Then as we're doing that, the top floor was all occupied, and they were all using it once for running water. We started noticing that there was water coming into the units. Why is there water coming into the units? We started trying to dig it and understanding it. And it turns out that the main line, the sewer lateral I mentioned we scoped, looked perfect at first, was all shot. There was holes in it. You know, there was a tree actually in the city's right of way that grew into that lateral there and was blocking up all the toilet paper and everything else, and it just backflowed. And going back to being hands-on, being efficient, look, we do everything. All right, I'm in this unit, and they're using water, and they're not stopping. I can't go through and say, hey, stop using your water. You know, I'm staying in the unit, and the water's just rising and rising and rising. And it stinks. It wasn't a pretty sight. You know, so the first thing I did, rather than being worried, I grabbed a mop. I started, just sorry to say it this way, but just shoveling shit everywhere. It was disgusting. It was. And but it's the type of things you go through. It's nothing sexy about it, but we had to do it. So finally, I stopped using the water. The water decreased. I was able to get all up. We called the plumber immediately. They snaked the line, got it clogged, but we ran TV and we realized how bad these pipes were. Luckily for us, we just removed all the floor. The pipes are all shot, so guess what? Now we have to remediate that pipe. Rather than just ripping up the slab, because that was one of the things we had to do, was rip up the entire slab and all the units to pull the pipe and replace it. There's something called pipelining, which is a cool technology. It actually shoot lining into the cast iron pipes, and there's no need to actually go in under and pull the old pipe out. It actually is a liner inside the existing pipe. So that's what we did. However, in order to finish their run all the way to the back of the property, they still had to open up one of the units on the slab. So they opened up the ground floor slab, went in there, and finalized their fitting, but it was only one unit, and it was really like a 4 versus having a 4-foot wide trench going across the whole property, which would have been a disaster. So luckily things happened the way they did. I am a firm believer things happen for a reason, a very faithful man as well. So the good man was looking out for us. And if things had happened the way they would have been a way bigger issue. But we did budget accordingly. We had everything set to where we could accommodate those problems. We had our lease up schedule. Same thing, kind of far out, one unit every single month. Slowed down velocity a lot because of that reason. But ever since we fixed it, put it back on the market, velocity's been there, a lot of traffic. We got one more to go, and we'll see what happens after that.
All right, I have a few more questions. We have time, people. You gotta wake up. We have time. And this is an absolutely critical resource for your own personal development. So if you haven't had a question this morning, now it's the time to ask. I can leave the room for 10 minutes if you want to ask about the program.
Professor, I have to take off.
Before you leave, answer my question. It hasn't changed. Career most defining moment. Positive or negative? Or both? And then you can leave, Woody.
Well, I'll tell you one really quick story before I take off. We sold the Boston Red Sox, our firm, in 2010 when nothing was trading. The real estate market was at a dire, and when you hear all these old guys come in and say relationships and track records and relationships, that's life, but you don't realize it till you really start working with city officials and everything that I've been doing. And I don't know about Stephen, but so we're in the middle of the recession. We were like on fire. 2008 comes, October. We sold our last deal the month before, and it was a big one for me. I put all my money in the CD, God bless. The recession comes, everybody's dying. Everybody's, everybody is. So the newspaper and other articles can be your best friend, like the Business Journal. So we read in the paper that the Boston Red Sox, after they won their pennant, wanted to relocate because at Fort Myers they were all over downtown and not so many great, not so many great areas. It was all fractured. So they wanted to build a new stadium where they were going to leave and go to Sarasota. So my partner read it. To make a long story short, I'm the guy that's like, Noah, I call, I figure it out. I talk to the Parks department, and he's going to see the Red Sox. So I sent him a few exhibits, and he said, wow, we owned 128 acres right next to the airport, but not in the flight path. We love this site. But I'm going to Boston, I'll call you when I get back. So this happened over a weekend. Well, of course, once the county got involved, the county was going to own the land, build in the stadium. They had to do an RFP. And we also sold a 500-acre piece for $12 million. We were in it for $12 million, got our money back, returned of capital. And they made a big park out of it in Buckingham Preserve. So in this, I learned how to do like unbelievable PowerPoints. I had to put memos together. I was like the go-to guy. My partners, there was only 3 or 4 of us. And after an 8-month process, we won the bid. There were 16 other landowners. It was $25 million with the Red Sox retained the 20 acres in the front, and the city bought the rest of the land. But if it wasn't for that deal, and we would send, against the other landowners, we would send, in Miramar, we would send their residents letters saying, you don't want this you don't want this in here. We did everything there was, and we ended up doing it. And it saved our firm. I learned a ton. And it was like an eye-opener, and I was right there with Mike D, the president of and I did dinners with my partners, and I met all these great people. And you just don't know where your career is going to take you and how it's going to go. It was an amazing journey, and it saved our firm because we had leverage on it, $20 million, or about $18 million at 6%, which when you don't have any revenue, will eat your lunch. So it was really cool, and it was really exciting. It was kind of like one of those aha moments in the middle of the recession when nobody was trading properties, and we got a lot of publicity from it. So that was just a really cool point in my career that I thought that I said, this is what I want to do.
I guess I'll touch on an experience I had recently. You know, the saying, there's two sayings, I guess I'm saying both, is, you know, when you're running through the forest, sometimes you don't see the trees, or better yet, you know, stop and smell roses sometimes. So, you know, you work your ass off sometimes, you don't realize why you're doing it, it's just a grind and grind and grind, you don't really sit back and kind of cherish little moments. And during this lease-up property process with Zen Garden, you know, again, a lot of work, a lot of headache, a lot of issues we had. You know, we had a resident actually sign a lease remotely. They moved out from Ohio. They already saw the property. I wasn't aware of this. And we had an agent I was working with, of course. I'm at the property, you know, helping people move in and stuff like that. And this car pulls up. I kind of said hi, greet them. They looked at me funny, and I said, "Hey, how you guys doing?" And oh, we're here to see the agent. Cool. He's inside. Come right on in. I introduced them. You know, walked into the property. They said, "Oh, this is beautiful." I was like, "Are you guys here for Unit 3?" They said, "Yeah." It's like, "Have you never seen this place before?" I go, "No, we just moved from Ohio." So you signed the lease sight unseen? They said, "Yes." Mind you, we're charging him significant rent. So they're like, "Okay, well, he's busy. Let me show you around." Here's the property. They love what they saw. I opened the door for them. I said, "Look, we have Unit 3 ready for you guys. Go on in." They opened the door, and they walked in. I'm behind them, kind of listening in, and just listening to them. When they walked in, opened that door, and you just hear, "Wow, amazing. This is so great." And you see that happiness in their face. And it goes back to the motto Joel Owen had, you know, creating exceptional apartment living. I forget about those things. You know, you're so busy working and grinding, you lose sight of what you're really doing, why you're doing it. As I saw in that unit, I kind of just sat back and smirked and laughed to myself. I'm like, man, this is the reason why I do this stuff. You know, and seeing these reactions, providing these experiences for people, and seeing their reaction when they opened the unit for all the work and hard work we put into it. They were so pleased and so happy and so grateful of the work we've done, and turned around and said, "Wow, you guys did an amazing job." That to me was like a defining moment for me. And that was very recently, by the way. And again, you just lose sight of it sometimes, but it was a reinforcing, you know, piece for me that kind of brought everything back to light. So, you know, that's why I do this stuff. It's just that end user experience. You know, we're here to provide not just, you know, a product, but it's also an experience. And, you know, just never lose sight of that.
All right. Well, I would propose a short break, saying thank you to Woody for his time and his commitment. And then reconvene about in 10 minutes, and we have enough time for a more intense Q&A with Steve. All right?